Hey, it's Shane with GotRom.com. This video is about how long does flexibility and mobility really take? Stay tuned. In this video, I'm going to show you how I went from bad squats to nice deep squats, from bad back bridge to a good back bridge, and from very ugly, uncomfortable splits to nice, deep splits. Also, I wrote about all of these principles in the How to 10x Your Flexibility ebook, and also all the free downloads that you can find on GotRom.com. So in 2008, my journey began. I was just coming out of college and coming out of a lifetime, basically, of playing soccer. And fresh out of college, I began a 2-year strength and conditioning mentorship with some Olympic level and national level athletes as my training partners and coaches. And that included 2-time Olympian Hector Cotto and national level strongman competitors, as well as some really strong Olympic weightlifters. Here lifting 265 pounds like it's nothing. But unfortunately for me, in 2008, I was not blessed with such strength or flexibility like these guys. In fact, here's me trying to learn how to snatch, and I have an overarched back, and I'm struggling with just 50 kilos. And even when I try to do an overhead squat, you can see that I can't even squat below parallel, and I'm shaky and unsteady and just ugly. And even when I tried to do an overhead squat with an empty barbell in perfect conditions, I can't even break parallel at that point in time. So my starting point, zero strength, zero flexibility, zero hope. And you should also know that I was also told this time that I had hip impingement, and I was told, don't be an idiot, go get surgery. But I didn't want to quit and just give up. So I started working on it, and slowly over time, the strength came along. My squat flexibility started opening up. My hips started opening up. So for you, if you have bad genetics like I have, what can you do? There's basically 2 golden keys: discipline and smart training. You've got to be smarter than someone who just has good genetics. And this discipline part basically means choosing what you want the most more than what you want now in the moment. So in 2008, I began to diligently train my body, my mind, and started ingraining really good habits. I used to create spreadsheets, still do, about my training log and my workouts. And slowly over the years, all of these habits that I was developing started to compound or add up to give me 1x results, 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, 8x, 10x. And that's why I can now do some of the things that I can do. And one of the keys was staying on the move constantly. So I would always be limbering and stretching and squatting and practicing my squat in the gym with a bar, with back squats, with front squats. I would practice it unloaded. I would practice it loaded with weight. I would even practice weird squats that you've probably never seen, where you try to touch your head to the floor. Anything to open up my hips and ankles. And at this time, I was really having some breakthroughs, and I created the TSR system, which is basically flexibility for stiff people like me. And I created programs and YouTube videos about all of my learnings. And the time frame for all of this was a few months to have a breakthrough, a few years to ingrain it, and a decade to master it. So after squats, my next big challenge was to try to get the splits and the head to toe. So that means the side splits, the front splits, the pancake splits, and the infamous head to toe. And I was already kind of flexible at this time, but even still, my first split attempts were not very good. Here's one of my first tries, mimicking what I'd seen on the gram and YouTube and other places, and you can see that I'm 1.5 feet off the ground, and I just have to throw in the towel. But I used the same principles that I used for my squats, started adding some loaded stretching, some advanced stretching techniques, and over 3 to 4 months, I started to have a breakthrough. I started to develop more flexibility. I started to develop strength in these end range positions where I could hold myself in these end range positions. My middle splits started opening up. I started basically developing more range than I ever thought would be possible with my hip impingement and my FAI. And some of these loaded stretching techniques that I was doing were critical. And at the end of all of this, I was able to do the front splits, the side splits, and the pancake splits without too much difficulty. And I integrated these advanced learnings into my system, and then I created programs about how you can also get your front splits, your middle splits, your head to toe. And at this time, along with my splits, my head to toe was really improving. I ended up getting it in every position you can think of, basically. This was my very first time ever touching my head to my toe with a straight leg. And then I could do it at the mid-level where your foot is elevated, do it with less warm-up required. I could do it at higher levels, which is even harder. I could do it freestanding, barefoot, which is even harder. And basically, I ingrained this level of flexibility so that it's always within my reach. And at this time, as I was working on all these advanced moves, I also improved my upper body flexibility. So that's my handstands, overhead mobility for overhead squatting, or a squat jerk is what you see here. A back bridge requires a lot of shoulder and thoracic spine. But again, I wasn't starting from a very ideal point. My posture, I had a forward head posture from too much computer gaming. My bridge was terrible. My handstands sucked. I had that terrible nerd neck. But I set up my mobility dojo, wrote my plan, and followed the same principles I used for everything else. Here you see my dojo, and here you see what are the principles that I followed, which again are in the ebook. And just like my deep squats, my splits, my head to toe, anything can be accomplished with discipline and smart training. So you can see my overhead split jerk, shoulder mobility is quite good. My bridge flexibility got quite good. And the time frame for these advanced goals was, again, a few months, 1 to 3 to have a breakthrough, a few years to ingrain it, and a decade to master it. And I wrote about this in my Black Book of Flexibility Secrets, about all the things I learned during this advanced goal-chasing period of my life. And I created programs for all of the above, including my Flexibility University, which is 11 programs that cover everything about flexibility that you'd ever want to know. So how's my mobility now? Well, it's good, and my priorities have changed a little bit. I packed my bags and my bag and went to India to do kind of a meditation pilgrimage. Meditation is something that has come into my life since 2012 and is now one of the main focuses of my life. So, as you can see, my priorities have changed a bit from chasing these flexibility goals. But the key principles, no matter where I went, I stayed on the move. So if I was in the Himalayas, I was moving. If I was, in India, I was playing with the kids, showing them how to do pistol squats. This cute little girl in Thailand came up to me at dinner and wanted to show me her splits from gymnastics. So I got up from eating my food and stretched with her. Super cute. Whenever I was, moving around, I would be playing, I would be squatting, I would be teaching my friends that I was traveling with different stretches. If I was in the park, I would do my stretching routines. It's not like I stopped chasing my goals and I stopped maintaining them. And this allowed me to basically stay within striking distance of all my flexibility goals. So I stayed within striking distance of all of the positions that I want to keep for the rest of my life. And in 2018, when I got back to the States, I had maintained my flexibility and brought a deep in meditation practice back with me, which I then taught to my clients. And I also picked up something else along the way, namely my wife, my dear wife, who happens to be also a meditator and also a movement enthusiast. So now I have a partner in crime to do all of my stuff with, and we have moved to Colombia, which is a beautiful, beautiful country. And even here, I stay on the move. When I'm out hiking, I squat. When I'm at home, I do the splits. I never let them lag too far behind where I'm not going to be able to get them back within a few short weeks of training. So I do my handstands. When I'm out in the park, I'm working on my bridge. And it's a lot more fun now because I have someone to do it with me. So it's not just that I do my movement practice. Often she shows me up in a lot of these flexibility moves and shows me how it's really done. And if we're in the park, we're playing, we're stretching, we're limbering, just doing what healthy, active people do. So again, how long does this all take? 1 to 3 years to ingrain it, 1 to 3 months to make a breakthrough, 10 years to master it. And if you live a movement-based lifestyle and meditate, you'll maintain that flexibility a lot easier. So 12 years after I was told, stop being an idiot, just get hip surgery, I found this magazine in an airport which said, you don't need a hip replacement. It's not your joints, it's your muscles. What this means for you is no matter where you're at, no matter how inflexible you are, no matter what doctors tell you, with patience and persistence, anything is possible.